In case you missed it, the Vancouver Canucks AHL affiliate, the Abbotsford Canucks, have made it all the way to the Calder Cup Final, which, for those who don't know, is the American Hockey League equivalent of the Stanley Cup Final. And this is just the fourth time an AHL team affiliated with the Canucks has made it this far. The first time it happened was back in 1988 when Vancouver's affiliate was a team called the Fredericton Express. A notable name on that team was 26-year-old left-winger Mark Crawford, who later went on to coach the Colorado Avalanche to their first Stanley Cup in 1996. He also coached in Vancouver for 7 seasons, but no cup there. Anyway, the Fredericton Express were the first AHL team affiliated with the Canucks to make it to the Calder Cup Final, but that's as far as they got. The Hershey Bears swept them in 4 games.
A 4-game sweep, and you gotta give John Paddock and his team a lot of credit. They're the best team in the American Hockey League. The Express is the second best team in the American Hockey League, and although you don't get remembered for being second best, I'll tell you, they lost to one great hockey team.
The next team to do it was the Manitoba Moose, led by a 20-year-old Michael Grabner. They made it to the final in 2009, but lost in 6 games to the Hershey Bears.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Manitoba! The Hershey Bears are the 2009 Calder Cup champions!
Nice. Then, in 2015, the Utica Comets, led by a 24-year-old Jacob Markstrom, became the 3rd Canucks-affiliated team to sniff the AHL's biggest trophy, but they lost too. The Manchester Monarchs beat them in 5 games, and yeah, that's a 29-year-old Paul Biznasty Bissonnette right there. He had 0 points in the 11 playoff games he played that year. However, Canucks farm teams have had some success, just not in the American Hockey League. For that, we have to go all the way back to the 1970s when their affiliates were in a league called the CHL. No, not that CHL, the Central Professional Hockey League. It only existed for about 20 years, but in that time, 2 teams affiliated with the Canucks won the Adams Cup. The Tulsa Oilers in 1976 and the Dallas Blackhawks in 1979. Also, I don't know how many people know this, but the Canucks have a secondary farm team over in the ECHL, the Kalamazoo Wings. And I was curious to see if any of these secondary teams have found success over the years, and, well, there was one. In 1974, the Des Moines Capitals, a team out of the now-defunct International Hockey League, beat the Saginaw Gears in 6 games to win the Turner Cup. What I'm trying to say here is, the Abbotsford Canucks are making history right now, and we should be soaking in every second of it. Abbotsford is in the Calder Cup Final against the Florida Panthers AHL affiliate, the Charlotte Checkers, one of the only teams that finished the regular season with a better record than the Canucks. In this video, I'll be covering the first 3 games of the series, starting with Game 1, where one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a hockey game happened, but I'll get to that later because first, here's Abbotsford forward and former Stanley Cup winner Sammy Blais deking the pads off Charlotte defender Mikolas Havorka, cutting into the slot, putting the puck on net, and creating a rebound for Max Sasson to tap in. 1-0 Abbotsford. Charlotte scored 3 minutes later. 1-1. Havorka continued to take a beating. Here's Jet Wu demolishing him. Charlotte scored again. 2-1 Checkers. Charlotte scored again. 3-1 Checkers.
A few moments later.
Oh right, 20 seconds after Charlotte took a 2-goal lead, Sammy Blais sent Nate Smith in on a breakaway and Smith chipped it beautifully over goaltender Kaapo Kähkönen. 3-2 Checkers. Blais hit the post, Tristan Nielsen had a chance to tie it, but Kähkönen said it's not happening. The Canucks were buzzing around Charlotte's net, but couldn't find a way past Kaapo, and then out of nowhere, with under a minute left in the second period, Checkers forward Justin Sourdif broke in on a clean breakaway one-on-one with the Canucks goaltender, but like we've seen many times before, Artūrs Šilovs came in clutch. He stretched out his pad and sealed off the net to keep the score the same heading into the third. What a save. Kähkönen stopped Nielsen from jamming one in, but Abbotsford didn't give up. In fact, it was Nielsen again causing problems for the Checkers. This time he teamed up with Ty Mueller. The two of them pulled out the old give and go and executed it perfectly. 3-3 tie game, comeback complete. Šilovs kept the game tied with another clutch save, and just like that, it was time for sudden death overtime. Both teams got their chances in the first 20 minutes, but nothing substantial enough to end the game, so more overtime was needed, and this is when things got weird. Just over 3 minutes into the second overtime, the Canucks lined up for a fairly standard defensive zone faceoff. Although the stakes are obviously higher, their objective is the same as any other game. Win the faceoff and get the puck out. Well, Mueller won the faceoff right into his own net. How on earth did this happen? Was Šilovs zoned out thinking about his post-game dinner plans as the puck snuck by him, or did Mueller win the draw so hard that Artie couldn't stop it? Well, it's neither. As the players lined up for the face-off, Šilovs was taking a drink from his water bottle, and for some reason, the puck was dropped while he was still putting his glove back on. The officials screwed up here, not Šilovs. They're supposed to make sure everyone is set before dropping the puck, and they clearly dropped the ball here. So after discussing it, they overturned the goal, the game continued, and Danila Klimovich won it for Abbotsford shortly after. Awesome. 1-0 Canucks. Game 2 started with a quick goal as well, except this time it was for Charlotte. 1-0 Checkers. But then, just 60 seconds later, Abbotsford tied it up, and of course it came off the stick of Sammy Blais. You know, the former Stanley Cup winner. 1-1. Charlotte scored. 2-1 Checkers. Šilovs stormed 5 feet out of his crease to make a killer save. Then, watch this. While on a power play, local kid Artūrs Šilovs, former Cup winner Sammy Blais, and Linus the Menace Karlsson teamed up for a sick tic-tac-toe passing play to tie the game at 2s. All 3 of these guys have been so clutch for the Canucks in these playoffs, especially Blais, which is why I punched my dinner when I saw Sordiff line him up with the hit along the boards here. Blais was down on the ice for a few seconds and even left the game for a bit, and when he came back, he pointed right at Sordiff as if to say,
"I hate you."
The teams traded chances, but neither were able to capitalize, and just like Game 1, we were headed for another bout of sudden death overtime. Michael Benning scored, Checkers win, series tied 1-1. Thanks, Jim. Game 3 was the Canucks' first home game of the series, and boy did they put on a show for the sold-out Abbotsford Center crowd. It was gorgeous. Their first scoring chance came less than a minute into the game. It was Jet Wu whipping a backhander off the crossbar. Former Stanley Cup winner Sammy Blais turned Rasmus Asplund into mashed potatoes. Nielsen labeled Havorka. The Canucks were all over Charlotte to start this game. They were controlling the majority of play the entire first period, which is why it was so weird that it ended with them down a goal. But then, just under halfway into the second, the Canucks broke through, and it was disgusting. Check out this backhanded no-look pass from Linus Karlsson right to the stick of who else but former Stanley Cup winner Sammy Blais.
The vision. Yucky. The execution. Stinky. And it gets even nastier.
Blais, now one-on-one against goaltender Capo Kakinen, pulls out the old forehand to backhand pump fake back to forehand roof doggy yummy town, and just like that, the game was tied. 1-1. Then, just over 3 minutes into the third period, more nastiness occurred, and guys, this one was gross. It started with Artūrs Šilovs getting hit from behind into the boards. Ouch. But what do you think happens next? Is he injured? Is there a penalty? Does he lay on the ice and try to sell it so a call does get made? No. None of the above. He locates the puck, and then from his ass cheeks, slides a sneaky little backhand pass to Sasson, who then makes a less sneaky but equally impressive pass over to Karlsson, who one-times it into the back of the net. Ugh, is that allowed? Can you score more than one highlight reel goal per game? Are they gonna get fined? 2-1 Canucks. And it turned out that's all Abbotsford needed to beat Charlotte in Game 3, but just to be safe, they scored 4 more goals in the final 8 minutes of the game.
Baines, DiGiuseppe, Baines again, and Nielsen.
And thanks to some more stellar goaltending from Artūrs Šilovs, who continues to impress year after year no matter what situation he's in, the Canucks beat the Checkers 6-1 and are now just 2 wins away from becoming the first Canucks-affiliated team to win the Calder Cup. Nice. Thank you to all these knuckheads who chose to become channel members. It helps support what I do and I greatly appreciate it. If you want to become one, just click the join button under this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye. Hey, Brian, it's me, Knuckhead. Keep watching my videos. Yeah, you, Brian, right there. Yeah, if you think, oh, he's not talking to me, I'm talking to you, Brian. Keep watching them. There's 2 that just popped up on the screen. Click one of them. Don't stop. Thanks, Brian. It means a lot.